middle of an old, forgotten town, there is an abandoned hospital. It used to be busy, but now it's falling apart. The people in town avoid it because they hear strange noises and see ghostly figures. But curiosity is strong, and it brought 3 friends to explore the haunted halls. Jake, Emma, and Noah stepped into the lobby, their footsteps echoing. Dust floated in the light of their flashlights, and the air smelled old and musty. They wanted to find out the secrets hidden inside the hospital. As they went deeper, strange things started to happen. The lights flickered even though there was no electricity, and they heard soft whispers from nowhere. The friends looked at each other nervously but kept going, thinking it was just their imagination. In a room full of old patient records, Emma found an old journal. It belonged to Dr. Harold, a doctor who had disappeared along with some patients. The journal talked about experiments on the patients to cure a mysterious illness in the town. Noah felt a chill, like someone was watching them. He turned around but saw only shadows, yet out of the corner of his eye, he thought he saw a dark figure move. They were scared but couldn't turn back now. Their path led them to a rusty door at the end of the corridor, slightly open. Beyond it was the basement, a place even the bravest locals avoided. With a deep breath, Jake opened the door, revealing a staircase leading down into darkness. The basement was worse than they imagined. Old medical equipment was scattered around, and an eerie red glow came from a corner. The whispers grew louder, urging them to leave, but in the corner, they found a hidden room. The source of the glow. The hidden room was an old operating room, with walls stained with blood. In the center was an operating table, and above it, a single red light flickered. The whispers were deafening now, a chorus of voices crying out in pain and fear. Suddenly the temperature dropped, and ghostly figures filled the room. Dr. Harold appeared next to the operating table, surrounded by the shadowy figures of his patients. His eyes were hollow, his face twisted in a silent scream. The truth was clear. The doctor had been doing terrible experiments, trapping the souls of his patients in the building. Panicked, the friends ran out of the room. The whispers turned into screams. They ran up the stairs, through the dark corridors, and out into the first light of dawn. As they looked back, the building seemed to sigh, relieved to be rid of them. The friends swore never to return, leaving the whispers and haunted memories behind. But as they walked away, they noticed something chilling. On each of their wrists was a ghostly mark, a reminder of the horror they had seen. The whispers stayed behind, but the spirits had marked them, making sure the haunting would never truly end. The abandoned building remains, silently holding the horrors within. And as long as it stands, the whispers will continue waiting for the next curious souls to uncover its dark secrets. John had always been curious about the old hospital at the edge of town. Abandoned for years, the building was rumored to be haunted. One stormy night, he decided to explore it. Armed with only a flashlight, John pushed open the creaky front door and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and the faint smell of decay. The hallways were dark and silent, except for the occasional drip of water echoing through the building. John's footsteps sounded loud in the stillness. He passed by empty rooms with broken beds and shattered windows. Shadows seemed to move just out of the corner of his eye, but whenever he turned to look, there was nothing there. In an old office, John found a faded map of the hospital. One room, marked in red, caught his attention. It was labeled Secret Room. His heart raced with excitement and fear. Why would a hospital have a secret room? Determined to find out, he traced the path on the map. Following the map, John walked down a long corridor that led to the basement. The air grew colder, and the darkness seemed to close in around him. His flashlight flickered, making the shadows dance on the walls. He could hear faint whispers, but he couldn't understand what they were saying. At the end of the corridor, John found a heavy metal door. It was rusted and had a large padlock. He almost turned back, but then he noticed a small keyhole above the lock. Remembering a key he had found earlier in the office desk, he pulled it out and tried it. The key fit perfectly. With a loud creak, the door swung open. The room was small and dark, with only a single flickering light bulb hanging from the ceiling. In the center of the room was an old hospital bed, and strapped to it was a mannequin dressed in a hospital gown. As John stepped closer, he realized it wasn't a mannequin. It was a corpse, perfectly preserved. The sight sent chills down his spine. On a nearby table, John found a journal. Flipping through the pages, he discovered the horrifying truth. The hospital had been conducting unethical experiments on patients, trying to find a cure for a rare disease. The secret room was where they kept their most dangerous patients, and the corpse on the bed was their last victim. Suddenly, the light bulb shattered, plunging the room into darkness. John felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He turned around, but no one was there. Panic set in as he tried to find his way out. The whispers grew louder, and he realized they were coming from the walls. The ghosts of the patients were trapped here, and they wanted revenge. John ran down the corridor, the whispers following him. He could feel cold hands brushing against his skin. Just as he reached the main hall, the front door slammed shut, and he was thrown against the wall by an unseen force. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was the faint outline of a figure standing over him. When John woke up, he was lying in a hospital bed. Confused and disoriented, he looked around. The room was clean and brightly lit. A nurse walked in and smiled at him. "Welcome back," she said. "You've been in a coma for weeks." John tried to speak, but no words came out. The nurse leaned in close and whispered, "You'll never leave this hospital, just like the others." John realized with horror that he was still in the haunted hospital, and now he was a patient in the secret room.